When creating menus, we're going to be using some menu events, and menu events are really nothing more than just mouse events. So when the mouse hovers or rolls over a list item, we'll animate that item showing up or displaying or fading, whatever it might be depending on what you want your animation to look like. On mouse out, we'll remove that animation or do it in reverse. Again, this is very dependent on how you want your animations to look. When it comes to actually animating the menu item, we're going to use the traditional jQuery animation API. This might be a combination of built-in effects like fade in, fade out. It might be custom animations using the animate method. Keep in mind we can chain these methods together, and in the line you're seeing right here, we have a stop method chained in with this animation. This would keep the animation from continuing a previous animation or keep it from queuing. Let's explore why we would want to do this and how we add basic menu functionality into a web application. Here we have a pretty common menu. It's a horizontal menu, possibly across the top of a web application or a website, and as the user rolls over each menu item, I want to reveal some extra content, and that might be a description about where this will take you. It might be an image or just something graphical. The point is I want to add an animation to this menu. Let's go look at our markup to see what we're working with. In our code, you'll notice that this menu is exactly what you would expect. It's an unordered list. Each list item inside of it has a link, home, about, contact, submit, terms, and it actually has a second paragraph tag that has some additional information like get in touch or send us your stuff, something that will appear when we roll over that menu item, and we don't want it just to show up, we want it to animate showing up. So we're going to use the animation API in jQuery to create a more interactive menu. I'm going to begin by going to my Ready event in my document. The first thing I want to do is create my events for interacting with the menu. So using a jQuery selector, I'm going to target all the list items in my document. Keep in mind, in a larger application, you might have additional lists of data that aren't menus, just a set of data that you're displaying, so you may want to include a class or some other way like nav to differentiate between your list items. For now, I'm going to target all list items. I'm going to create a mouse over event. This event will call an inline function. I'll finish the boilerplate code for this function. And I'm going to do the same thing for the mouse out event. Again, $li targeting all list items. The event is mouse out, and we'll again call an inline function. Now remember, on mouse over, I want to do an animation. So I'm going to use the animation API. I could use an effect like fade out, fade in, hide, show. Or in this case, I'm going to use the custom animation API, which is the animate method. So using a jQuery selector, I'll select this. Again, because I'm in an event, this will refer to the list item that's currently being moused over. I'm going to call the animate method. Remember, the animate method takes in two parameters by default. The first is the list of properties that you want to animate, like height, width, x, y. And the second are the details of the animation, the duration, the easing. So the only property I actually want to animate is the height property. I'll have the height expand to 150 pixels. Again, I could also animate the width or maybe some transparency, but for now I'm just animating the height. The second parameter that I'll pass to the animate method are the details of the animation. I'm going to indicate that it's not supposed to queue. I'm going to give it a duration of 600. And remember, the duration's in milliseconds, so this will be 0.6 of a second. And finally, the easing will be ease, out, bounce. If you remember from effects and animations in jQuery, easing changes the way the animation plays. So rather than play the same speed from start to finish, this will, at the end of the animation, play a little bounce effect. We'll see what this looks like once we test it in the web browser. To recap, on mouse over of any list item, the animation will trigger. It'll expand the height in 600 milliseconds. Let's test this in our web browser. I'll save my file. I'll open Internet Explorer. Refresh my page just to make sure I get the new version of my document, and then I'll roll over a menu item. You'll notice it expands. If I roll over any menu item, it will expand. They don't close because we haven't implemented our mouse out yet. But what I want you to notice as I roll over the last ones is the bounce effect that appears at the bottom. It's very fast, but you notice the animation does a little bounce effect.